Welcome back to the Chad Hasty Show on News Talk 95.1 FM and 790 AM KFYO. Joining me in studio right now, he's got a tall cup of coffee, so that means he has a busy day. Congressman Jodey Arrington back in studio. Welcome back.
Never a bad day, though, in West Texas. Just spend a little time in the swamp, and you'll never have another bad day in West Texas.
Well, and you've been able to spend some time the last couple of weeks, it seems.
I've been
touring the district.
We've been going and blowing. Was in Cochran County, Morton, America. I was down in Jayton in Kent County, and started the day off yesterday in Littlefield. And man, this is I get the honor of representing the very best people in all the land, and what we contribute in food, fuel, and fiber is there's nothing more special for energy and ag independence. And we have the traditional American values that are the West Texas values that I think are the backbone of this country. So, I mean, every day I'm a happy warrior because of who I represent. And so thanks for letting me be on your show and talk to your listeners and my constituents.
Absolutely. So when you've been going around and talking to, I mean, you've just been everywhere in the district and talking to a whole lot of people and really in different industries. Are there one or two topics that folks keep bringing up to you that they're either concerned about or they're wanting to, see fixed in the next couple of years?
Well, they're concerned about a lot of things. I think chief among them is that we will lose momentum that we've had under this president and with this Republican Congress, where we have put free market policies in place that are creating jobs and growth and opportunity. And it's everywhere, Chad. It's the small business guy. It's helping our farmers who are in a tough spot right now. And I think this helps them get a little runway till we get the farm bill done. But they hear this sort of socialist philosophy and the idea that government control of our economy is somehow the path to prosperity when you've got history littered with nations that have failed miserably and failed their people because of that. And they see that the House is hanging in the balance in terms of the majority. And they know a Nancy Pelosi leadership in the House means repealing tax cuts, not more free markets. It means propping up a failed top-down healthcare system in Obamacare. It's doubling down on that now. It's healthcare for all, Medicare for all, $30 trillion. I mean, double your taxes, double your income and business taxes. It is a recipe for disaster. I don't have to tell you, and I don't have to tell most West Texans that they're concerned. And then you got the caravan, which represents the last decade of Obama and Democrat policies of open border by de facto not enforcing the laws and by not closing the loopholes in the existing laws. And people they just can't believe what they're seeing, and they can't believe the violence and the vitriol and the combativeness and the disregard and disrespect for the Constitution, for due process, for presumption of innocence in the Kavanaugh hearing. I mean, we got a real choice in this election, and I think our guys are going to go big for West Texas conservative values, but they're worried about the rest of the country.
This caravan that we're seeing that's heading towards the border, obviously we've always had illegal immigration. We've had an unprotected border. We've seen people who have been pouring across the border for years. These caravans that are starting up now, are these totally organic, or are these being started by, I don't know if it's being started by people here. I know this one was organized by or what they say is that it was organized by a former politician down in Central America. Are we seeing more of these caravans due to the political nothing happening basically here in the U.S.? Are we seeing this organized there because, hey, we don't have a border. We don't have a wall yet. We don't have the two sides agreeing to work together on securing the border.
Well, we have, regardless of whether it's inside or outside of this country, where it starts, it's organized, it's intentional. I don't think it's organic. We also don't know what other groups with different interests and many interests that fly in the face of American interest, and certainly those who are related to gangs and criminal activity and would want to do harm and so that we don't know. But yeah, I think it's as a result of bad immigration policies of the past administration. I think it's because people have taken advantage of our compassion. I mean, we represent 5% of the world population. We have 20% of the immigrant population. No country is more generous and kind and compassionate and open in terms of immigration than the United States of America. Millions wait for years to get into this country. And we finally have a president that's doing everything in his power to enforce the laws and to secure the border and stop this madness. And I called yesterday for the president to use the military because this is a national security issue. And people have made almost a sport out of exploiting our broken immigration laws under the pretense of compassion. And this president is going to put America first in everything. And I've seen that. I think the proof's in the results, whether it's trade or it's border security. And I stand with him on it. And I voted in the House on a bill that in good faith, Chad, we negotiated with the Democrats to give temporary legal status to DACA recipients. The president went further and said DACA eligible. So we went from 800,000 to about 1.5 million. But in good faith, we did that to give peace of mind and legal status to the DACA folks, who most were brought here by no fault of their own. But we did that in exchange for all the resources and tools to secure the border wall fencing, technology, boots on the ground, infrastructure in terms of judges and detention facilities and on, including stopping chain migration and the lottery program and moving to a merit base. We didn't get a single Democrat vote. We didn't get a single Democrat vote in the House. Yeah. And because they didn't want that for the DACA folks. They want amnesty for millions of folks who have broken the law, violated our sovereignty, and jeopardized the security of the American people. And it's un-American, and I'm going to stand strong with our president. And I think this whole caravan thing, like the Kavanaugh stunt, is going to blow back on the Democrats, because the independents and moderate guys are scratching their heads saying, I may not like this president's personality, and I may not jive with his style of leadership, but this is crazy. And I like his results, and I'm going to stick with him and the Republicans, and I think that's going to play out.
Well, when it comes to, and you mentioned that you're in support of the military being placed on the border, obviously the president has floated that idea out there about sending the military to the border. What if the military goes to the border? What can they do? What can they not do? Because there's some legal issues there.
Well,
right?
There are legal issues. And I would never call for the military to administer any laws in our own country on our own people. But this is defense of our homeland and our sovereignty at the border against people who are not citizens of this country. So I find that distinction important. But if he had to declare a national emergency, which in some cases he does to use the military, then he should, and Congress would have to approve that. And I stand ready to not only support that, but get support from my colleagues. Because this 7,000, 10,000, 5,000, our guys are already overwhelmed. We don't have the capacity and capability to stave off this major influx of the throngs of people who want to come into this country because they feel entitled to come into this country. And so the best way is to deploy our military. I know Governor Abbott's prepared to put the National Guard down there and use local law enforcement. By all means necessary, keep them in Mexico, because if they're asylum seekers, international law dictates that they are supposed to be and stop and seek refuge in the first safe country. And so they should be in Mexico. We can help the Mexicans provide some support in services, emergency services in refugee camps, even in transporting these people back to their home country. But the first job, I think, is to keep them out of our country and in Mexico. And then if they are to come into the country, we are to uphold the law, which means they are to be detained until they can go through their court hearing. And 80+% of folks who are seeking asylum generally are found not eligible and are deported. But we cannot release them into the interior of the country because that is proven to be, that catch and release is a failed policy, and it's de facto amnesty, and it's something we have to prevent. I think this president will do that.
Before we take a break, what do you think the chances are that the military gets deployed to the border to stop this caravan?
I think they're greater than 50% because this president, as you know, and as people now have discovered, is not like your typical politician. If he says he's going to do something, he usually does it. And as long as it's in keeping with the Constitution and rule of law, which he has tremendous respect for. So I see it happening, and I can't tell you again how much I will appreciate a leader who will actually take his first job seriously as our commander-in-chief, and that's to protect the American people. We can do it in a dignified way as we treat the folks who are coming across or trying to. We can do it compassionately, but we put America first.
When we come back, we'll continue our discussion with Congressman Jodey Arrington here on the Chad Hasty Show News Talk, KFYO. Back on the Chad Hasty Show News Talk, 95.1 FM and 790 AM KFYO. This portion of the show brought to you by my great friends at American Bank of Commerce. Make the switch today to American Bank of Commerce. You will not be disappointed. A better bank with better people and better rewards. If you're looking at taking out a home loan to do a little renovations to your house, they can help you through that entire process, and they want that process to go smoothly and quickly for you. If you're looking for business banking and maybe you're looking at expanding your business and needing to take out a loan there, they know time is money, and they want to make the loan process as easy as possible for your business. They've got a great mortgage department as well. American Bank of Commerce, theabcbank.com, or visit one of their numerous locations throughout West Texas. Congressman Jodey Arrington in studio with me. Moving away from the caravan topic for now, how was the Trump rally? How did that go? I know you got a shout out from the president, and it seemed like a pretty good crowd.
Very good crowd and very energized, very supportive of this president. I think because of the 2016 elections and so much at stake, and a president that's a fighter, a president that's going to, for the first time in a long time and more than any politician I've ever seen, a guy that speaks their language. He doesn't mince words. He doesn't speak in political talking points. He speaks from the heart. He doesn't speak with political correctness. And that resonates. And it makes people feel like he's one of us. And I've never seen someone more determined to do what he said he would do on the campaign trail. And that's what I think has excited and energized people. And I think Texas is whatever blue wave, and nobody talks about it anymore, but whatever blue wave did exist or still exist will fall way short of the borders of this red hot state. And I think that sort of, I think the president really stirred the hearts and the spirit of freedom loving Texans who want to keep this the bastion of conservative principles and values.
What do you make of the high early voting numbers across the state? Is it good for Republicans, good for Democrats?
I think they're both coming out.
Yeah.
I don't know that any. Here's the thing. We just needed the Republicans to be as energized and as mobilized and as galvanized as the Democrats on account of their hate, many of them, not all of them, but for this president and sort of by all means necessary resistance to our agenda. And I say our because I think that our agenda and the president's agenda is the majority, reflects the majority of West Texas views and values. So, so there was no question they were going to be energized. The question is, were we going to wake up and were we as conservatives going to realize that 2016 was the beginning of the fight for the heart and soul of this country? But we've got to keep that momentum, and we cannot let Nancy Pelosi hogtie this president in endless investigations and impeachment hearings, because that's exactly what she intends to do, among other left-wing progressive socialist policies that they like to implement. It won't happen because we're going to win probably more seats in the Senate. That's my prediction. But, I think what's happened is the Kavanaugh effect. I think the caravan effect is the second blowback because they're overplaying their hand. The American people, especially those in the middle that were trying to, I think everybody's battling for that independent group and the sort of moderate Democrat, moderate Republican. Those guys are not, they're they're not jiving with these antics and the personal attacks and the vitriol and the violence. And I think they say, look, this president's delivered results. My life's better. And I think at the end of the day, when you pull the lever and you're kind of in the middle, you generally ask the question, has my life improved? Is life better than it was 2 years ago? And if you turn the noise down from the national media and the mainstream media, then I think you'd have to agree, look, we've kept $2,000 in our pockets on average. We got better jobs. We got a stronger military. We got respect in the world again and restored our leadership. I'm going with the Republicans.
Obviously, one of the things that the president, I believe he brought it up at the rally, and he may have brought it up even beforehand, is another tax cut for the middle class. It seemed to catch some of your colleagues by surprise. They're like, well, wait a minute, we're doing what? It won't happen if Nancy Pelosi is the speaker, obviously. But let's say Republicans do hold on to the House. Can we expect another tax cut?
Absolutely. I mean, we've already passed out of the House Tax Reform 2.0. That wasn't the 10% tax cuts that the president mentioned the other night. I love when he springs that on Chairman Brady and others. You know, I mean, that's it's perfect because, you know, he's a guy that's not as politically calculating. He's just saying he's a bold guy, you know, and he's like, look, the economy's booming. The results, the proof's in the pudding. We want more of this. We went from 2 to 4% plus GDP, annual GDP after being stuck for 2%. Wages are up. Income is up. And we need more of this for those kids coming out of LCU and Wayland Baptist and Texas Tech. This is great for America and it affects every facet of our lives. And so I'm grateful this president is being bold. The future belongs to the bold, like people like our president.
I think we have about a minute or two left. Any movement at all on the Farm Bill, or is that kind of dead until after the midterms?
Unfortunately, I think the Democrats have dug their heels totally in until the midterms. They want to see if their negotiation position will improve. And this is another example of the choice people have when they vote. We didn't get a single Democrat vote in the Farm Bill coming out of the House, our Farm Bill, because of a 20-hour work week where able-bodied adults either work 20 hours or train 20 hours or volunteer 20 hours. That was too much. Welfare to work reforms for the Democrats. And then you've got Debbie Stabenow jacking with the Title I, the safety net for production agriculture. And she's saying, let's cut some of that and let's put that money to rooftop and window gardening because that's what's going to feed the American people. I mean, it's absurd, but that's what we're dealing with. Please, guys, go vote. Vote for sanity, common sense, and conservative values. Vote for West Texas. Vote for a safe, strong, and free America.
Absolutely. Congressman Jodey Arrington, we wish you the best of luck in your reelection.
Thank you.
We appreciate you for coming in today.
Thanks, Chad. Good to be with you. God bless.